in a city where every square inch matters. Clutter isn't just messy, it's stressful. It drains your energy, clouds your mind, and can even make your home feel smaller than it really is. But what if I told you that clearing just one corner of your home could instantly bring more calm into your day? Today, we'll transform a cluttered apartment into a space that feels lighter, calmer, and more livable without spending a dime. You don't need fancy storage solutions or hours of work. All it takes is a few simple steps and a shift in how you look at the stuff around you. Because after 60, peace of mind and comfort at home are worth more than square footage. By the end of this, you'll see how even a tiny change can bring big relief, and you'll feel inspired to tackle the next little corner of your home. If you've ever felt drained just by looking at the mess around you, you're not alone. Clutter has a way of stealing our energy before we even begin the day. In small apartments, every surface matters, and when piles of mail, bags, or odds and ends take over, it doesn't just crowd your home, it crowds your mind. Instead of feeling at ease, you may feel tense, scattered, or even embarrassed when someone stops by. And let's be honest, after 60, many of us don't want to waste our time or energy digging through piles just to find our glasses or keys. We deserve spaces that make life easier, not harder. The good news is that you don't need to tackle your whole apartment at once. By focusing on one small area at a time, you can create peace where there was once chaos. And that peace builds momentum for bigger changes. Today, we're focusing on just one small but powerful spot, the entryway table. It's the first thing you see when you come home, and often the last thing you touch before leaving. When it's cluttered, it greets you with stress. But when it's clear and organized, it sets the tone for calm the moment you walk through the door. By the end of this video, that table will go from chaos to calm, and I'll share simple steps you can use to keep it that way. No expensive organizers, no marathon cleaning sessions, just a few mindful changes that make a big difference. Because peace doesn't come from having more space. It comes from making the space you already have work for you. Step 1. Clear the space. Step 1 is the simplest, but also the most powerful. Clear the space. Before you do anything else, take everything off your entryway table and put it into one pile. Don't overthink it. Don't start sorting yet. Just clear. This single action does something important. It gives you a fresh start and lets you see your space the way it's meant to be, without the weight of all the little things that don't belong there. Think about it. Every time you walk into your home, this table silently greets you. If it's covered in papers, keys, bags, or odds and ends, that's the first message you're receiving. Chaos, stress, more to-dos. But when it's clear, even for a moment, the table says something entirely different. Welcome home. You deserve to come back to calm, not clutter. Now, here's why I say don't think yet. The trap many of us fall into is picking up an item and immediately asking ourselves a dozen questions. Should I keep this? Or should it go? What if I need it later? That kind of thinking slows you down and often leaves you more drained than when you started. By clearing everything into one pile, you postpone the decision-making until later. You give yourself permission to act first, think second. And that, especially after 60, is a gift because it saves your energy and makes the process easier to stick with. I'll be honest with you. The very first time I tried this, I resisted. I thought, what's the point of just moving everything into another pile? Isn't that still clutter? But the shift happens when you realize you're not just moving things around. You're creating a clean slate. You're reminding yourself that this space belongs to you, not your clutter. That shift in perspective makes the next steps much lighter. Here's something else too. Remember, clearing space isn't just about tidying a table. It's about breaking the emotional hold that clutter has on us. Every item sitting there carries a tiny weight. A piece of mail you've been avoiding. A receipt you think you might need. A key you're not even sure what it opens anymore. One by one, those little weights add up. They drain your focus and chip away at your peace of mind. By sweeping everything into one pile, you're symbolically saying, I'm not letting this control me anymore. I'm taking back my space. And here's a gentle reminder, don't rush yourself. If bending or lifting feels difficult, clear the space in stages. Take a few items at a time and place them in your pile. This isn't about speed, it's about progress. Each item you remove is one step closer to calm. If you struggle with letting go, this step will feel easier because you're not letting go yet. You're simply moving things aside so you can breathe. Think of it as pulling back the curtain before the play begins. You're preparing the stage for something better. When your table is finally bare, pause for a moment. Look at it. Notice how open and light it feels. Even if the pile beside you looks like a mountain, your table already feels different. That's the power of clearing space. It gives you an instant win. And that small victory can be the spark that motivates you to keep going. I want you to carry this thought with you. Clearing one small surface is not just cleaning, it's reclaiming control. It's reminding yourself that your home works for you, not the other way around. After 60, our energy and time are too precious to waste fighting clutter. By starting small, you're building a foundation for peace, an order that will serve you every single day. So here's your action step for today. Pick one small surface, your entryway table, a nightstand, or even just the top of a chair, and clear it completely. Don't sort, don't decide, just clear. When you see that blank space, let yourself enjoy the feeling of possibility, because this is where calm begins. Step 2. Sort smart. Now that your entryway table is completely cleared, you're standing at an important crossroads. What do you do with that pile? This is where step 2 comes in. Sort smart. Here's the golden rule. Keep only what truly belongs here. The rest? Either give it a real home somewhere else, or let it go. Think of your entryway table like a front door. It should welcome you in, not overwhelm you with reminders of everything you still need to do. So let's start sorting. Pick up each item, one at a time, and ask yourself a simple question. Does this really belong on the entryway table? For most of us, the honest answer will be no. That stack of unopened mail? It belongs in a basket or a file, not scattered here. That spare screwdriver you dropped months ago? It belongs with the tools. That crumpled scarf? In the closet. When you start to see your table as a place with a clear purpose, everything else becomes easier to sort. And here's something powerful to remember. This isn't about perfection. You don't need to color code, label, or create a magazine-ready display. You just need to decide what earns the right to live here. If an item doesn't serve you in this space, it's stealing from you, stealing calm, stealing focus, stealing room for the things that actually matter. Now, let's talk about letting go. I know this part can feel hard, especially if you've held on to certain items for years. Maybe that old envelope has a note scribbled on the back. Maybe that pen was a freebie from an event you enjoyed. Our things carry memories. And sometimes it feels like if we let the item go, we lose the memory too. But the truth is, the memory lives in you, not in the clutter. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you make space for the memories you're creating now. Here's a tip. Give yourself 3 categories. Keep, relocate, toss. Keep only what is useful right here, like your keys, maybe a small dish for spare change, or one photo that makes you smile. Relocate the things that do belong in your home, just not in this spot. And toss the things that no longer serve any purpose. If you're unsure about an item, set it aside in a small, maybe box. If you don't reach for it in the next 30 days, you'll know it's safe to let it go. And here comes the mini hook. You'll be surprised by what you find at the bottom of this pile. Every single time I go through this process, something unexpected shows up. An old bill I thought I'd paid, a keepsake I'd forgotten about, or even cash I didn't realize was hiding there. That surprise is proof of how much our clutter hides from us. Imagine the relief of knowing exactly what you have and where it belongs. I want you to notice how you feel as you sort. At first, it might feel overwhelming, like the pile is staring back at you, daring you to give up. But the moment you drop something into the toss bag or place it where it really belongs, you'll feel lighter. Each decision is a small victory. Each item you let go of is one less thing weighing you down. And let's face it, after 60, we don't need more stuff in our way. We need clarity, ease, and space to move freely. By sorting smart, you're not just organizing a table. You're practicing the art of choosing what matters most in your life right now. When you're done, take a look at what's left. It should be a small, intentional collection of items that truly belong. That's your sign of progress. You've gone from a chaotic pile of everything to a mindful group of only what's needed. That shift is huge, and it sets the stage for the next step, creating a system to keep the clutter from creeping back. So remember, keep only what belongs here. Relocate what has another home. Let go of the rest. Sorting smart isn't just about decluttering a table. It's about training your mind to release what no longer serves you. And the freedom you'll feel from that choice is worth far more than any item you might be tempted to hang on to. Step 3. Create a drop zone. Now that you've cleared the space and sorted through the pile, it's time for step 3. Create a drop zone. This is where the magic really happens. Because if you stop here, the clutter will sneak back tomorrow. But if you give every item a landing spot, you build a system that protects your space from slipping back into chaos. Here's the key idea. Every single thing in your entryway needs a home. Just like you have a chair you sit in or a bed you sleep in, your items also need a specific place to live. Without a home, they wander. And when things wander, they pile up. That's how clutter grows. But the moment you assign each item a landing spot, you give your space structure and flow. So how do you do this? Let's start with the essentials. Your keys, for example, need a permanent spot. Maybe it's a small dish, a hook, or a tray. The point isn't what you use. It's that it's always the same spot. Every single time. This one habit alone can save you endless frustration. No more searching under cushions, digging through bags, or retracing your steps. After 60, we've all had those moments of misplacing our keys and feeling that spike of stress. A drop zone solves that instantly. Next, think about your mail. Instead of letting it scatter across the table, give it a basket, a box, or even just a folder. The rule is simple. All mail goes there and nowhere else. You don't have to deal with it immediately, but it's contained, not spread out in messy stacks. That one little boundary turns an overwhelming pile into something manageable. And here's a little bonus. Once your items have homes, clutter has nowhere to settle. The entryway table becomes less of a dumping ground and more of a welcoming space. That's important, because the very first thing you see when you walk in should make you exhale with relief, not sigh with stress. I'll share a quick story. A friend of mine always complained about losing her glasses. Every morning turned into a frantic hunt. On the counter, in the bathroom, under the mail. She finally created a simple drop zone, a small tray by the door, where her glasses always went when she wasn't wearing them. Within a week, the stress disappeared. It wasn't about the tray, it was about giving her things a reliable home. That tiny change gave her back peace of mind, and she told me, "I wish I'd done this 20 years ago." Now, you don't need to buy anything fancy. You can repurpose what you already have. A small bowl, a basket, even a sturdy envelope tacked to the wall. What matters isn't the container, it's the consistency. Each item has its place, and you stick to it. That's how clutter stays gone. This step also carries a bigger message. When we give our things structure, we give ourselves structure. Our homes start to work for us, instead of against us. And after 60, simplicity is a gift we owe ourselves. No more wasting precious time or energy shuffling items from one spot to another. Instead, you create flow, calm, and ease every time you walk in the door. So here's your challenge. Pick the top 3 items that land on your entryway table most often. Keys, mail, glasses, maybe your phone, and create a clear drop zone for each one. That's it. Just 3. Keep it simple. Once you see how easy it is, you can expand to more items if you like. Remember, clutter doesn't disappear by accident, it disappears. When every item has a home, create those landing spots now, and you'll protect your table, your space, and most importantly, your peace of mind. Step 4. Add a simple habit. Here's the secret to keeping your space clear. It's not about organizing once. It's about creating a simple, repeatable habit. Anyone can declutter a table for a day, but the real victory is keeping it clutter-free for weeks, months, and even years. And the way you do that isn't with expensive organizers or hours of effort. It's with a tiny 5-second habit that saves you hours later. Every time you walk through the door, drop your keys in their tray and place your mail in its basket. That's it. 5 seconds. You don't even have to think about it. Just make it automatic. It may sound too simple to matter, but these small habits are the building blocks of lasting change. Think about it like brushing your teeth. One day of brushing doesn't make a difference, but the daily habit keeps your mouth healthy for a lifetime. The same principle applies here. When you drop your keys in the same spot every time, you never waste energy searching for them again. When your mail always lands in the same basket, it never spreads across your table, creating that sinking feeling of overwhelm. These tiny choices, repeated daily, add up to peace of mind. And here's something we don't often talk about. As we get older, our routines matter more than ever. They reduce decision fatigue, save energy, and help us move through our days with less stress. After 60, our time and energy are far too valuable to waste on preventable frustration, like hunting for lost keys or dealing with piles of paper. A simple habit protects you from that drain. I'll share a personal reflection here. Years ago, I used to constantly misplace my wallet. Every time I left the house, there was a moment of panic, checking pockets, looking under cushions, retracing steps. It was stressful, and honestly, it put me in a bad mood before I even stepped outside. Then I created a simple rule. My wallet always goes in the same spot by the door. Within days, the panic was gone. I didn't just save time, I saved my peace of mind. That's the real power of a habit. Now, you might be thinking, but what if I forget? That's normal in the beginning. The trick is to link the new habit to something you're already doing. For example, when you put your shoes down, put your keys in the tray. When you hang up your coat, drop the mail in the basket. By tying the habit to an existing action, you make it easier to remember, and soon, it becomes second nature. Another tip, keep the habit as easy as possible. If your key tray is too far from the door, you'll end up tossing your keys on the table instead. If your mail basket is out of reach, you'll stack envelopes wherever it's convenient. Make the habit effortless by putting the landing spots exactly where you need them. The easier the habit, the more likely it will stick. And here's the best part. When you stick to this tiny habit, you're not just creating order on your table. You're creating a sense of control in your life. Every time you see that clear space, you'll feel a little lift inside. It's a reminder that you're capable of creating calm, even in the busiest city or the smallest apartment. That feeling builds confidence, and it ripples out into other parts of your life. So here's your challenge. Practice this 5-second habit for 1 week. Every time you come home, keys go in the tray, mail goes in the basket. Don't skip it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just do it. At the end of the week, notice how your table looks, and more importantly, notice how you feel. I promise, the sense of ease you'll gain is worth far more than the tiny effort it takes. Remember, lasting peace doesn't come from one big change. It comes from small habits, repeated consistently. 5 seconds of intention now will save you countless hours of stress later. That's the power of a simple habit. Step 5. The quick win trick. And here's my favorite part, the quick win trick. This is the step that turns your entryway table from just organized into something that feels inviting, personal, and calming. Once your space is cleared, sorted, and set up with its drop zones, add just one item that makes you want to keep it clear. One single item that brings you joy every time you see it. For me, it's a small plant. Every time I walk through the door, that little bit of greenery reminds me to breathe, to slow down, and to appreciate the calm. For you, it might be a framed photo of someone you love, a candle with a soothing scent, or even a piece of art that makes you smile. The point isn't what you choose, the point is how it makes you feel. That one item becomes a gentle reminder that this space deserves to stay clutter-free. Because it's more than just a table, it's a place that welcomes you home. Here's why this works. Our brains respond to positive reinforcement. If we enjoy the way a space looks and feels, we're more motivated to maintain it. When your table is completely bare, it's easy for clutter to sneak back in because it doesn't feel personal. But when you place something meaningful there, it creates a sense of ownership. You naturally want to protect it, to keep the space clear so that calming item can shine. Think about how a candle feels on a dining table. It instantly changes the atmosphere from ordinary to special. That's exactly what this step does. It changes your entryway from a dumping ground into a space of calm. And the best part? It takes almost no effort. You're not adding more clutter. You're adding meaning. I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine used to dread coming home. Her entryway table was always stacked with unopened mail, bags, and random clutter. It made her feel defeated before she even took her shoes off. One day, after clearing it, she placed a simple framed photo of her granddaughter right in the center. Suddenly, every time she walked through the door, she was greeted not by clutter, but by a smile that reminded her why she wanted peace in her home. That one photo was enough to motivate her to keep the table clear. It wasn't about decoration, it was about meaning. And here's something I want you to hold on to. After 60, our homes should be sanctuaries, not sources of stress. We've earned that. By adding one calming item, you're not just creating beauty, you're creating a ritual of care for yourself. Every time you see that plant, that photo, that candle, it's a reminder that you matter, and that your space matters too. Now, a quick word of caution. Keep it to just one item, two at most. The goal is not to redecorate or fill the space, it's to highlight it. When you add too much, the clutter sneaks back in, and the calm is lost. One meaningful item will always have more impact than a dozen. So here's your challenge. Once you've cleared, sorted, and created your drop zones, choose one item that brings you peace and place it on your entryway table. Let it be your reminder, your anchor, your little spark of joy. And then, notice how much more motivated you are to keep everything else off that surface. The quick win trick isn't about organizing. It's about creating a connection to your space that feels personal and uplifting. It's the final touch that makes your decluttering effort not just functional, but deeply meaningful. Because at the end of the day, what we're really creating isn't just a clear table. It's a calmer, happier life, one small corner at a time. When I first moved to New York, my apartment was so cluttered, I could barely sit down without moving a pile of something out of the way. It felt like the walls were closing in on me, not because the apartment was too small, but because the clutter took up more space than I did. And honestly, it weighed on me emotionally. I felt scattered, distracted, and restless in the very place that was supposed to be my refuge. It wasn't until I decided to start small, just one table at a time, that things began to change. I remember the first surface I cleared. It was nothing dramatic, just a little corner. But when I sat down that evening and saw the clean space, I felt a wave of relief I hadn't experienced in years. That one simple change reminded me that I could create peace in my home, even in the middle of a noisy, crowded city. And here's what I've learned. After 60, peace of mind is worth more than square footage. It doesn't matter if you live in a tiny apartment or a large house. What matters is how your space makes you feel. A cluttered room can feel like chaos no matter its size, but a cleared corner can feel like calm, even in the smallest home. When you choose to reclaim one space at a time, you're not just organizing, you're creating a sanctuary that supports you, one surface at a time. Here's the transformation. What was once cluttered, stressful, and overwhelming has now become calm, simple, and functional. The difference isn't just in how the table looks, it's in how it makes me feel. Every time I walk through the door, the space feels lighter, and in turn, so do I. And that's the real gift of decluttering. It's not about perfection. It's about creating an environment that gives you peace instead of pressure. One small change can shift the entire mood of your home, and it starts with just a single corner. If a messy table can become a calm, welcoming space, imagine what else you can transform one step at a time. What's the most stressful clutter spot in your home? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear, and I might feature it in a future video. If this quick reset inspired you, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more simple, practical wins after 60. Together, we can turn overwhelming spaces into calm and welcoming ones, one step at a time.